Some of my journals. So I've done this for decades. I wrote down my thoughts in a journal before I told anybody what was going on with me in terms of my identity. Hello, I'm Dr. Dave and welcome back to the Good Life Lab, where we explore tools, tips, and techniques for boosting our mental health and finding greater happiness and meaning in life. We're in the last week of this 4-week series called Boost Your Mood, Queer Dudes, and I've tried to introduce some tools and tips that I've used with myself and with my clients to check in with ourselves regarding our mental health. And I've talked about 4 pillars in the last 4 weeks. So the first one is around relationships, and the second one's transcendence or awe and wonder. The third one is related to purpose and meaning. And then the fourth one, which is this week, is all about story and authenticity. I often think of these 4 areas as 4 pillars are like a dashboard that we could check in to see if we're doing okay. So relationships is really connecting to others. Transcendence is all about connecting with something greater than yourself. Purpose is connecting to your purpose or mission in life. And then this week is all about connecting with yourself, your own personal story. So this week, we're going to talk about 4 doors of authenticity, starting from one that's maybe less risky and talking about personal authenticity with yourself through journaling, and then get into group authenticity, small groups, and trust, and developing trust with others, and then sharing yourself on stage, as I did in a recent storytelling event. And then the 4th door is really just a summary of these 4 weeks and integrating everything that we've been talking about, so we just feel like we're more maybe in touch with our own mental health and well-being, and have some tools that can propel us forward even further. So I'm going to walk you through each door, each level of authenticity in these videos this week. And this first video is really just around personal authenticity. So kind of getting in touch with your own thoughts and emotions and feelings through journaling. So that's the focus of today's video. All right, as we get into this first level of authenticity around journaling, I just wanted to show you some of my journals. So I've done this for decades, journaling, much of my life. And recently I've been not journaling and kind of writing things down as much. I take notes and lots of ideas, and I use ChatGPT for some just kind of processing things. And so I'm in a different phase where I'm not writing things down as much, but I'd like to get back to it. And maybe this is my kind of impetus to do that. I want to share with you a few reasons why journaling can be so effective. So some research, some evidence-based reasons for why you should think about journaling. One of the first reasons I think journaling is so important is because it can clarify and help with kind of emotional regulation. So just writing your thoughts down can be really important for understanding your emotions, and also even regulating them. Like when you're angry, taking time to write it down can bring down that anger level. So it's one good reason to journal. Another reason is if evidence shows that it boosts your mood. It can be a good source of helping you feel better about yourself and about life as you journal, write things down. Journaling can also be really useful for self-awareness, growing in a greater understanding of yourself, your emotions, patterns that you might be seeing. If you're consistent enough, you can, as you look back on your entries, you can see themes that are coming up maybe in relationships or in your own emotions and thoughts. So it's great for self-awareness as well. And some practical benefits of journaling for queer men. It can be a really great source for affirmation, and maybe even just understanding where some sources of negative self-talk comes from. As gay or queer men, we can be really hard on ourselves and still have this lingering internalized homophobia. And so journaling can be a great source of just identifying some of that for ourselves and beginning to make some changes around that. Journaling can also be a great place for exploring our identity as queer men or questioning men. So a place that I know through the years, I wrote down my thoughts in a journal before I told anybody what was going on with me in terms of my identity. So it can be a great safe place before sharing with anybody else, kind of share and get this out on paper in a journal. It can also be a great place to heal some past wounds. As we get things out on paper, we begin to explore some of the things that maybe were a little traumatic for us or very traumatic for us. And that can bring some opportunity to reframe the things that happened to us and maybe get even a better perspective or more clear about those things that were very traumatic for us. So I think the process of writing them down is very healing, but then also a chance to take another look at them and reframe some of those memories in some ways. Journaling can also be a great way to track our growth. So if we can record over time, it will take some consistency. We can begin to track those things, ways that we're changing, and it can be a great source of encouragement to us as we're trying to change in a certain area. And I know I forget often the progress I've made and focus on maybe what I'm dealing with now and forget about where I've come from. So journaling can be a great record of that progress. So I just shared with you a bit of evidence related to why journaling is important and why you might want to get started with doing it. I think it can be a great source of, again, clarifying your thoughts, of feeling affirmed, and then also seeing themes or patterns that we might want to change in some ways. But here are a few quick steps you can take to get started on journaling, maybe some quick, easy entry points to journaling. I know sometimes it feels like journaling is this huge new habit that we might want to create, but I think if you just think of it in terms of a small, tiny habit that you can start in even 5 minutes a day or 5 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week, that can be a great entry into more consistent journaling. So you can also think of it as just like a daily check-in. So maybe in the morning or evening, you just write one sentence about how you're doing that day, one sentence about your day. It doesn't have to be volumes or paragraphs of what's going on, but just get started with one sentence about your thoughts, what's going on during the day, how you're feeling. So just start with that one sentence. And then if you want to add to that, think about what you're grateful for. A lot of times there's a lot of research around gratitude and its tremendous impact on our emotional well-being. So just thinking about one thing that happened during the day that you can be grateful for, and then write down why you're grateful for that. So that could be another source of boosting your mood for the day. And if you're trying to develop some basic tools around journaling, you can really just maybe set a timer for 5 minutes so you don't feel like it's taking over your day or you don't have enough time. Set a timer for 5 to 10 minutes and then just do free writing. Just write about whatever comes to you. There can be great inspiration around just letting your mind wander on paper for a while. So try that as an experiment this week. Just free thinking, free writing in your journal, and see how you feel at the end of the week and see if it's made any difference. So yeah, that's the first door of authenticity. So personal authenticity, just reflecting about your own thoughts and feelings in a journal can be a great safe place and safe way to start this process of being authentic, is being authentic with yourself. So in this next episode around authenticity through story, we'll talk about community authenticity and how that can be helpful to you, kind of taking that next level of trust about being more consistent with who you are outside as you are inside, kind of sharing that with somebody else. And I'll get into how I've started groups that have helped me. Sometimes I've been in 2 or 3 groups at once, and that's been really helpful in just feeling better, feeling connected, and being able to process some of my thoughts. There are some groups you can process some thoughts about, your identity perhaps as a gay man or queer man, and maybe other groups that you can't do that with, but can be just as valuable for connecting with men or with other groups of people. So think about, and when we get into the groups, I'll talk more about how to go about doing that. If you'd like more direction for journaling and more information, I've prepared a free PDF for you to download on my website. Just go to the description below and you'll see that. And it gives you weekly prompts for the last 4 weeks, so related to the 4 pillars that I've been talking about. So you can check that out as a way to maybe get yourself started on giving some direction around journaling. If you're also interested, I have a wait list for a group coaching experience that will talk about some of these concepts in more detail for queer men. So please check that out in the description below, and you'll be led to a landing page. Once we get enough critical mass in terms of a wait list, I'll open it up for more information about it, more details, and invite you to potentially a small group experience around mental health and boosting your moods for queer men. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I'd love to hear from you, and also keep these videos going, as well as additional resources related to mental health for queer men. So great to have you with me this week, and I will see you next time when we will discuss authenticity through groups and kind of sharing yourself with other people. All right, have a great week.